Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Rocky Tisworth. This is my TED Talk. I'm hoping to inform and educate you on how imperative and important deforestation and climate change is. Deforestation is going to be one of the most preventable, yet permanent hindrances to our world that we will probably ever experience. With deforestation and rapid increase, the world is seeing the negative influence it has on our world. From flooding to the ability of the world to be able to process CO2. Everything is needed to keep us alive. And more than anything, it helps keep our climate temperate. Deforestation is the primary cause to our degradation. Have you seen the wild mudslides in Brazil? How about the record forest fires in the West? They're basically here every year. These are greatly attributed to deforestation and the climate change associated with it. Deforestation happens in such manners that some people do not even realize it is deforestation. Lowlands and wetlands that are raised to their natural deep root systems and grasses. This causes a loss of sponge effect and truly hampers flood prevention. To start with the destruction of mangrove forest in our eastern western coastlands, general wetlands, even in the south, the great forests and native grasslands of the Midwest, Mississippi River Drainage Basin, bread bowl of America as we know it, has been formed and based upon those root systems working, and we have torn them up to do other things like make money crops out of them. The America we know was built on that, and the America that we know now has been built without that. So thus we think that it's commonplace now. It's almost innocuous, right? So it's like I said, it's changed how we built and how we upkeep this country, especially to our detriment. Destruction of the great root systems of the fertile river valleys made for a vast reduction of topsoil, which is very, very imperative. This topsoil is what actually is able to grow our food, right? It's like what anything's able to grow. Without that organic mass and organic material in that top layer of soil, you're talking about nothing actually being able to grow. And it takes years for topsoil to truly like have humus through it and have the nutrients it takes for even trees to grow in a lot of ways, like, short root tree systems. So and eventually that's what led to the Great Dust Bowl at one time, was the loss of topsoil and the root systems being gone. So other things like changes in forestry, including only growing a single species of tree in a farmer area, not having enough controlled burns, and killing native grasses in favor of short root system grasses, which should be harvested, has led to a lack of biodiversity as well as encroachment from competitive and problem species. I'm from Arkansas, and that's a huge deal here. Like, they say in the 1800s, like, native Arkansas was a mountain prairie, basically. Kind of like how we would think of, like, more arid, like the higher, like, alpine regions of Colorado or something like that, where there was not so much underbrush, mature trees, cactus prairies even was a lot here. That's not the case now. Now there's no forest fires. There's a lot of, even though it's a natural state, a lot of our natural vegetation is given out. Like, we have the eastern cedar now. We didn't have eastern cedar before that, which has caused like these mass thickets and everything that smothers out a lot of our native plants. And that's happened across the country. Like, we have changed the face of our country that way. And in turn, it has, like I said, it's killed us in the biodiversity department, as well as deforestation and allowing things to be able to take its natural route that was purposed with. Climate change is also pushed into high gear when deforestation is on the rise. The percent of CO2 that forests across the world harness and change into breathable oxygen and other byproducts is totally associated with deforestation. The Amazon rainforest alone takes in 2.4 billion metric tons of carbon each year, according to science.org. Which that could be up to 25% of total carbon emissions in the world if we were doing this world right and treating it right? All trees and forests combined take in 50% of CO2 emissions throughout the world. The rate that the Amazon rainforest is disappearing is just outrageous. It's disappearing in favor of grazing land. A lot of it, they'll cut it down, deforest it, turn it into grazing land, and it'll have runoff like I was talking about before, which is, of course, detrimental. It gets rid of the topsoil, and then it ends up just being salted earth. But the actual rate has been about 10,000 acres a day since 1988, according to Science Teacher Journal. That's over 7,500 football fields a day completely gone of the original Amazon rainforest. That's a lot. The effect this has on the climate in North America, and even Europe and Africa, and every other continent, is it hedges on the capabilities of the rainforest. Like, whether they know it or not, which they do know it at this day and age, the rainforest helps control the temperature worldwide because it helps the oceans also control their temperatures. They act as heat sinks and buffer barriers and carbon barriers. So mostly, and the big deal is, so a lot of these people are doing the actual work deforestation are exploited workers also. So they don't really know. They're just trying to make a living, right? Day to day kind of people. So it's the big corporations that are to blame here. Some success has been found in Venezuela with social programs to help bring the local workforce out of poverty and incentivize for not taking forest laws. Like any education program, it always helps people. Whether we can actually make that work or not, who knows? It might be too little too late. Basically, deforestation not only can be, but is a difference on if there's a planet able to be lived upon for our grandchildren and maybe even a lot of our children. We're already past the tipping point in so many ways, but the end of this century may just literally be the end. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.